You're not going to want to miss this interview with active shooter expert and my friend, Chris Grollnek. Chris has a wealth of knowledge on the subject of active shooter, and he has served as an expert witness on various high-profile cases. I started working with Chris almost a year ago, and we both share the same passion for keeping kids safe. Let's see what he had to say about the recent events at Uvalde.
So it was an hour and 14 minutes. And it took the first responding officer was there on scene and actually turned around and left. And it was the chief of the ISD. So I think you have to go back to the initial things. What caused this event to, allow to play out, if you will, or what allowed this event to play out? So a lot of the seminars that we give, and this, that we talk about common sense procedures. How security is implemented, why security is so important, why the factors of locks work, and why you don't piggyback behind people tailgating if you have access control. If you have a vestibule in the front of the school or any school that has somebody hired to sit there and scan badges, there's a good reason for it. So when a teacher does go out and props the door open, and there's 3 versions of what happened. So I'm not going to speak to the one that I know what happened, because there's already somebody filing lawsuits for defamation and libelous and slander. But we're going to say teacher A propped the door open. Teacher B closed the door. Teacher C reopened it. One of those 3 people is lying. The other person that is not lying, because there's 2 people that have the same story, but in different events. Somebody put a rock under the door to keep it propped open, and the other one closed the rock, kicked it away, and it didn't latch closed. I don't think this community was prepared, in my opinion, for any act of violence.
But Breitbart is claiming that they had 48 lockdowns this year. So what did they do in those lockdowns if they weren't prepared?
Right. But that's the thing. They had lockdowns because of what? Do you know why they were locked down? Because they had border chases where illegal aliens were crossing the border, and they were in pursuit with Border Patrol or other officers, so they would initiate a lockdown. Well, perpetual lockdowns create what? Laziness. Like, oh, that was nothing before. It was nothing the last 48 times. Why would it be any different today? They didn't do a lockdown after he just shot his grandma in the face and she called the police. Now, in a city like Uvalde that doesn't have a large population, any attempted homicide should warrant a lockdown of just about everything until you find the perpetrator. Knowing that he's going to a school is one thing. Knowing that for the last 4 years, he'd been telling people he's going to shoot up a school. He's going to be more prolific than Nicholas Cruz. He's going to cause a bigger massacre than Sandy Hook. And he's going to do something that people, won't forget. And he's also going to be a school shooter.
Okay, so did they hear him shooting outside for 15 straight minutes before he even got into the building?
Right. So there's some disparity about that. And I really don't want to get into that right now. But his car crash, and here's why. They're counting the minutes. I'm going to be cautious. They're counting the minutes from where he shot his grandma and the time when he got in the accident, and then he made his way to the building. So it was just a deterioration of a bad sequence of events. And, you and I have visited Parkland. We thought everything that could go wrong did at Parkland. Take a look at here. If it could have gone wrong, it did, but worse, because you don't have one officer not responding inside for whatever reason. You have every officer there not responding. And their conflicting stories are, well, we were ordered not to go in. I liken this to the rules of the Geneva Convention. If we're at war and I order you to execute somebody that's a non-combatant, that's murder, right? So what's it called? So that's unlawful order. So what's it called when I order you not to go save lives? Wouldn't that be an unlawful order? So why wasn't that disregarded?
And how is it that how many law enforcement officers were on site that were ordered to stand down or to not go in, whatever you want to call it? How many of them had to make that active decision? Okay, I hear the shots firing. I'm not going to go in.
All of them.
How many were there?
A lot. County police, the ISD police, the state police, Border Patrol, other agencies that are around there. And then who's making the decision not to go in and why not go in? And then they said, well, we couldn't get a key to get in. So my, obvious response to that is, you drive a large Chevy Tahoe. There's a push bumper on it. Drive through the front door. It's a great key. It's a great master key. You want in, you're going to get in.
How did the Border Patrol agent, off-duty Border Patrol agent with the barber's shotgun get in?
So there's 2 off-duty Border Patrol agents, and there's some misnomers out there. The one that has the hat on, and I think it's the red shirt with the shotgun, was getting his hair cut. His wife was a teacher at the school. His daughter went to school there. He gets a text, there's an active shooter there. He borrows the barber's gun. He goes there. He goes inside. He gets his daughter out. He gets his wife out. Then he goes out to help the police. He's not the one that encountered the killer. So you have somebody from BORTAC get there, and he's really trying to do his job, but he says, people keep telling me to not go in. He got there at about 1 hour and 4, whatever. And he got on his vest, got a rifle, got up to the door, finds a key through one of the janitors, tries the keys with all the ISD, and there's failure number like 341. Why do all the SROs and the school ISD chief not have keys to get in every school? Like, that's their job, make entry if something goes wrong. And here's the other thing. If there was a fire inside that school, a big red fire truck would have driven through the wall. That's their whole thing. So why not just call the fire department in, 2 minutes and say, hey, we need in the school, somebody's executing kids. They didn't even do that. So now you have this Border Patrol agent that's there about 1 hour and 4 minutes, gets the key, gets in a shootout with the guy, gets shot in the leg, grazed in the top of his head, and then kills the shooter, rectifies the problem. That could have been done an hour earlier, but for whatever reason, and it's unknown. I mean, there is no way to know, but here's the only thing that we will know. There are so many different stories out there. They're going to start collapsing when somebody starts investigating it. And I hope an expert goes out there and does a bang up job, and it won't be me. I wouldn't work this case if they paid me a 10 lifetimes of retirement. No way. First of all, personally, I don't work child cases, but second thing, this is going to consume somebody, mind, body, and spirit, for about 4 years to unwind what happened and figure out what the truth is. Because let's just say we take everything at face value. It's all the truth. To that chief, his mind, he might have had auditory exclusion. So that's his truth. The DPS troopers, they might have thought they heard somebody tell them not to go in. That could be their truth. The problem is you got to put common sense behind the truth and say, okay, well, what is best practices say? We know that we spent $50 to $70 million on response through the alert center in San Antonio, or in Texas State and San Marcos. And their number one thing is the first officer there goes inside. They're the incident commander. They're the situation resolver. They're the person to solve all the problems. We keep seeing over and over, it's not working. So just because they're trained doesn't mean they're able. So how do we make people able to do these things? The military is really good at it. Why are the police not? And everyone keeps calling for the demilitarization of the police. Well, here's going to be some of the effects that you get.
I'm not a law enforcement officer, so I am not going to pretend to know why they waited outside or even criticize any of it. When you look at Parkland, you can say it was one guy. For the most part, it was one guy who made the wrong call, told first responders to stay back 500 feet, and he was not going into the building to take out the shooter.
No matter what. No matter what.
Versus over 100 law enforcement.
Not have been 100, but yeah, that's the mystery.
If it was 4.
Criticism is due. It's just, it doesn't matter if you're a law enforcement officer or not. They're there to protect you. Their job is to protect and serve. There is something called no duty of care, but no duty to retreat. But which means they don't have to go engage anybody. But in defense of a third person, they're bona fide, like that's their job, safety. And if you look at it from that perspective, more should have been done.
There's a significant amount of video surveillance. Are they reviewing? What process are they in right now?
There's a lot of experts looking at this right now, but there's more attorneys looking to take on the case for remedies to the families that lost someone. But the Department of Justice stepped in, and they are doing an administrative review, but they're not doing any criminal review. Therefore, they have no subpoena power, no grand jury power, and they can't compel testimony. So they're going to piece it together through video, through audio, and through witness statements. That's it. So here's what happened. Doors open, evildoer gets inside, He locks the door because he's not, he knows the value of that door, goes in. Their classes, they're doing an award ceremony because the graduation is like tomorrow, back then a couple weeks ago, and it's hard to talk about. So in class, he goes in the first classroom and makes entry, and all the other teachers pull their kids into their classrooms and lock down. They all do it perfectly, but it's too late because the guy came through an open door. I mean, you need to understand the gravity of this open door. It wasn't like it was 1 second. It was the teachers didn't know until the guy's inside with a gun.
And I get that much. The part, again, I keep coming back to is if law enforcement did participate in any of these drills, how is it that they waited?
Why didn't they open the door with a car? Why didn't they drive through the front doors with a car? Why didn't they call the fire department and say, axe the doors open? Why didn't they create a red, a yellow, and a green zone like Asher says? Active shooter and hostile environment. Why didn't they respond? The 5 million things that they didn't do does not supersede that someone allowed this person to walk in. And it was a controlled, locked facility. But
that's on the prevention side. I'm talking about response. If you fail prevention, failed prevention, you better come through on the response side. Clearly they failed prevention.
What are they missing? Let's say they knew where he was shooting from, so a shot detection system would have been irrelevant. They knew there was an active shooter. No panic button would have done anything. The teachers knew there was an active shooter when he came inside the class. A panic button wouldn't have done anything. Lockdown worked because the rest of the school locked down. He didn't get out of the 2 rooms. And you know how he got into 2 rooms, by the way? They were adjoining on the inside, not from the outside. So, and I'm not sure that's even public yet, but I don't care. There are so many things that are coulda, woulda, shoulda, and didn't. It's overwhelming.
Anything that you haven't mentioned yet that we don't know?
I'll pose that in the form of a question. Where to get the cash to buy 2 guns, all the ammo, the equipment, and his truck?
Yeah, I've heard that question too.
Where's his, where was the intervention from Facebook when he posted 3 messages 30 minutes before he shot his grandma?
What did they do when the girls accused him of threatening to rape them?
Where's the intervention from the police when all the calls called in and flooded in that he wants to be a school shooter? Where's all the calls? Where's all the action from the investigative procedure saying that he wanted to rape girls? Yes. Or how about the animals he was killing in his backyard reported by the neighbors when he was 15? That it goes back so far that this person was same as Nicholas Cruz, grooming himself to be a mass murderer. No sympathy for either one of them.
When you look at an SRO and they're supposed to be the main point of contact for safety and security of the students in that school, he doesn't even have the ability to do anything about an individual that he knows is a potential threat. So where's the accountability and the authority to sort of take charge of that type of situation?
So the police are doing their job in a lot of the education environments. Just last week, a school resource officer shot and killed a would-be shooter. Just 3 days ago at the field house in Duncanville, Texas, police got in a shootout with somebody that tried to enter the field house and kill a bunch of kids. It's working. The problem is the prevention issues are being lost, right? And you know as well as I do, this program called Awarity, which is like a whole platform thing. You call a suicide help hotline and you call the police, and those 2 people don't know you called each other.
Right.
You need a system that can grab that information from the bottom, pull it to the top, and disseminate it. Until we get something like that, we're going to just keep seeing these things.